Hi, it's Ruby. Today I'm going to be walking you through some of the property details of the Hilton Waikoloa Village Resort located on the Big Island, or the island of Hawaii. This resort is north of the Kona Airport, and it's in an area that is known as Waikoloa Village. There are tons of resorts, condos, shopping, restaurants, and really just its own pocket of fun and entertainment at the northern part of the island of Hawaii. If you're planning to get here from the Kona Airport, anticipate about a 30-minute drive north, and it's a pretty straightforward road, not a ton to see, some pockets of housing and palm trees and some beaches that you can get access to if your car's able to go off-roading. But it is definitely a beautiful place. I'm going to break down everything that you need to know as far as the resort property goes. First off, let's talk about when you first arrive. There is a parking lot, and right now, due to circumstances, there is no valet parking. You have to park in the self-parking lot. I personally don't mind that because I like to be able to come and go without having to call somebody to move my car. But also, because of this, the area that usually has valet-only parking closest to the towers, like the Makai Tower, or even the lobby, if you take the stairs up from the parking lot, you can park right there, because it's really convenient and you can get a lot closer to the Makai Tower or the front desk when you go do self-parking in this area. I was really curious what the check-in process would be at the hotel, so I want to spend a little bit of time talking about that as well. So depending on when you travel, you will have to prove a negative test when you check into the resort, and they actually have your QRC code on your phone. You have to pull it up, they scan it, they look at it, and that is part of the check-in process and has to be done for everybody checking into the hotel. Now, they give you a wristband that identifies you as a resort person, and that allows you to get access to the pools and the hot tub. If you were going to bring a friend or somebody to the resort, maybe to just hang out or just to look at the property, you should definitely call and make sure that they're going to allow that to happen. You don't want to be like kind of stuck in the front, not being able to go in. Alright, so this hotel resort has a reputation for being called the Disneyland of Hawaii, which is super funny because there is a Disney hotel on the island of Oahu. But I think the big reason that they kind of classify this hotel is one, due to the tram that goes throughout the resort, so you don't have to walk everywhere unless you want to, because it is a beautiful walk. And then two, it's just an enormous property. I mean, it is massive. It probably is about a mile and a half if you go from one corner of it to the other. And it's really spread out, so during times like this, it is really nice to have a lot of space to stretch, to take off your mask if you want to take that off, get some fresh air. And I actually really liked it for exercising and going for long walks in the morning and the evening when it's not as hot. If you go on the Hilton website, you'll notice that there's a lot of things that the resort is recognized for. To name a few, it's a 62-acre oceanfront resort, and it has its own lagoon with white sand beach and water sports. Some of the water sports are included in your resort fee that you pay up front. It was about $30 or $40, and you should probably call to make sure it hasn't changed, because I imagine it will go up as the season kind of opens up a little bit more. There's 3 pools featuring waterfalls, and they also have water slides. They have adult-only pool, and they have a really big pool for adults or people that are a certain height in the pool that's closest to the Makai Tower. And then they have a children's area, which was really cute, with a bunch of little water slides that's closer to the golf course and the Palace Tower. So again, you want to definitely think about that and consider that on your map before you book whatever room you're going to get. Because like I said, if you're not a big walker, you definitely want to be in the building that's closest to the pool or closest to the activity that you're trying to participate in. One of the activities that I actually loved the most staying at this resort is visiting the Dolphin Quest area every morning. They have activities that include swimming, feeding, and playing with dolphins. And you spend a lot of money, or you see a lot of activities or like shore excursions that talk about going out into the ocean and swimming with dolphins, and it's pretty amazing to just be able to like leave your room and walk down to Dolphin Quest. It's located kind of in the middle of the resort area, and just see the dolphins swimming around. I heard that they let them out into the lagoon area so they can have more space to swim really early in the morning or late at night. So I think that if you try to catch it, you might be able to see it. But I did get up at like 4 a.m. to go for a run, and I didn't see them out there. So you definitely should probably talk to the trainers or the front desk to find out if that's still something that they're doing. But it's just amazing being that close to so many dolphins. I mean, they had at least like 15 dolphins when I was trying to count. And they play with each other and jump out of the water. And going really early in the morning is super beautiful because they're really active at that time. So if you're interested in just even being around them, I suggest that you definitely visit that area. Don't miss it because it's an amazing attribute of the hotel. Now, while we were there, there was at least 2 or 3 weddings that we were kind of able to see from a distance. That was really beautiful. One was by kind of like a chapel area in the middle of the resort, like kind of to the north side of the lagoon, and they do kind of close that area off if you are having a wedding, so people can see you, but they can't really like walk through that garden area. They have to kind of go up towards the lobby and walk through the lobby area to get to like maybe the kids pool or to the golf course. But I think that it would be super beautiful to have a wedding there because it sits right on the Waikoloa coast of Hawaii. And depending on what time of day you go and have your wedding, like a sunset wedding or maybe early morning, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So look into that if that's something you're interested in. Let's talk a little bit of that bay area that the resort sits on, the Waikoloa coast of Hawaii. So it's a rocky beach. You can't really go onto the beach unless you're really trying to risk it or you have good shoes. And I didn't see anybody actually swimming in that bay area. Most of the people that were swimming were either in the pool or the lagoon area. So it is beautiful. You can sit there. They have benches everywhere. They have sculptures that are kind of in honor of Hawaiian heritage all over. And then there's also I guess they'd classify it as somewhat of a museum in the lobby that you can walk through as you're going to each tower, and you see a lot of art that is there. I don't want to say it's specifically Hawaiian art because I don't think it is. It's kind of a variety of different pieces, but you can definitely check that out. But the bay itself is really pretty with all of the seating there, and it goes all the way around to lead to the golf course area. While we were there, they were still working on construction to make a path like directly into the golf course, but it's definitely right next to the hotel. And if you go on the resort website, it does say that there's 2 championship golf courses right there and accessible to the resort. So if you're interested in golfing, I would look into the pricing and how to get tee time there. One of the other things that the resort does talk about explicitly is their spa. And right next to the spa, which is really close to the self-parking area that I mentioned before that previously was valet, in the Makai Tower, is the recreation center. Now, the fitness center was kind of basic. I was expecting a little bit more for such a fancy resort, but there was essentially 2 rooms, had some weights and some, like squat machine type stuff in one room, and then there was like more cardio equipment in the other room. It didn't say you had to wear your mask in those rooms, but you definitely want to note that, and it's kind of a small space like I mentioned before, not much ventilation, and the doors were closed. So I would just recommend working out on the beach or working out, running and doing some things, activity like, maybe some high intensity interval training outside. But yeah, they do have that. And the spa itself, we did not opt to do a spa procedure, but we did go and buy some of the lotion that they had there because we love having kind of those rich spa lotions available when we go back. And that was really nice. So if you're interested in that, look into it. The second big thing that the resort boasts is the pools and the water slides. I did really like the pools. I like pools that have like different depths, waterfalls, water slides. I think that also some of the best food that you can get on the resort at like a reasonable price is actually the market area that's right next to the pool. You can get a whole pizza in there for $16. They have Spam and rice for about $5, and they have chicken sandwiches, hot dogs, things that they make pretty fresh there. The pizza, like I mentioned, is made fresh there. I think the pricing is pretty reasonable, and it's honestly one of the places that we spent a lot of time towards the end of our stay. We did try to go to a couple of the other restaurants, and a lot of them were closed. I specifically remember walking to one of the pizza restaurants that's over by the lobby and being super disappointed because it was closed. So definitely get a list of what's open and what times they're open, because that's another thing. Like, if you're planning on just staying on the resort the entire time you're in Hawaii, you're not going to leave the property, you definitely want to know when things close down, otherwise you could possibly be hungry. And while we were there, the room service was not really going on, so you know, if you don't have food in your room, you're going to be hungry. So definitely make sure you're paying attention to that. The last few things I want to talk about is the fact that there is a luau available. You want to check the schedule to see what days it's available, but it's priced a lot better than some of the other luau's. So definitely Google that and see if you can get tickets, because it looked like it was really good. Also note that there is a ton of shopping available at the resort itself. Specifically in the Makai Tower, there was a bunch of shops that some of which were open, some of which weren't. But I think that during prime time, when things are at its best, it's definitely a place where you can spend an evening just walking around and shopping. It kind of reminds me of a cruise ship in that way, because there's a lot of things there. You don't really need to leave when everything is open. I also want to talk a little bit about pricing at the resort. This resort varies in its average room price. So let's just consider a regular tower view room. That could run you anywhere between like $300 to $600 a night, depending on, you know, when you're going and what's going on at the resort in the season. But I think really you pay that price point for the amenities and for the property itself. I did do a room review about the resort, and while we did really like our rooms, they weren't very luxurious, and I didn't feel like what I was paying for was really captured in the room. I felt like what I was paying for was more so captured with the location, the proximity of the resort to other hotels and resorts, to some high-end restaurants and shopping, as well as just the property being super massive and gorgeous. In itself, like, we brought my aunt to come see the dolphins because she was staying in a nearby hotel, and she was just blown away at how beautiful the property was. I didn't feel like when I initially walked into the lobby, like my breath was taken away. The lobby's a little bit simple, but once you get on the tram, or if you walk past the tram and over towards the lagoon, you're immediately like, wow, this is an absolutely gorgeous property. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about booking, what price you're thinking about paying. If you have some flexibility on when you can go to Hawaii, I would definitely recommend trying to go at a time of year where it's not too busy, and then also when the pricing is maybe closer to $300, especially if not all of the amenities are available, specifically the restaurants and the bars, because that was one of the things that was closed down, and then also room service, housekeeping, things like that you might think, oh yeah, I don't have to clean my room or make my bed. No, you should actually plan on doing some of that, because you don't have the same access as regularly, if that makes sense. You can definitely schedule things and like work things out with housekeeping in the front desk if that's something you want, but it's just not going to be the exact same experience right now, just given the times that we're in. If you like my video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that I covered everything that you were wanting to know about the resort. Overall, I definitely recommend this resort. It's absolutely gorgeous. So be sure to go. Just make sure you're hitting a good price point in a time of year that makes sense for you and your family. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye.